Welcome to the Elizabeth McGowan Training Institute. The topic that we're going to be talking about today is I don't have dementia, but it is driving me crazy. We are part of mmlearn.org, and we're delighted to bring this training delivered to you. Today our program is being recorded, and if you have any questions at all, I encourage you to send those to info@mmlearn.org. We'll get back to you just as soon as possible with answers, and I make that a promise to you. Our cell phones and pagers, I ask everyone, even if you're watching this with a group or at home, to go ahead and turn those off now and give yourself a few moments to listen to this without interruption, and for others as well. I'm Maria Wellisch. I'm a registered nurse, and I'm also a licensed nursing home administrator. And I want you to know at any time that you'd like to contact me, I want you to feel free to do so, and that's mariaw@mmlearn.org, and you can go back to this slide and see that if you need to pick it up later. This presentation, I want to be very clear, is not about certain things because I want to make this about you. So this presentation is not going to be about facts and figures. It's not about anatomy and physiology. I'm not going to fill you with caregiver facts or a lot of statistics. I want to get right to the heart of what's going on, what this disease is doing to you as a caregiver. Dementia and Alzheimer's disease affects the entire family, and I think sometimes this is forgotten. We think about the disease affecting the person who's been diagnosed, but we fail to recognize that it affects husbands, wives, children, grandchildren, friends, siblings, any member of the family or associated friends and relatives are affected by this disease, and I think this is something we need to take seriously and talk about. Every single patient, every resident is unique, and every caregiver is unique. We are all challenged by this disease and the associated behaviors that we see accompanying the process of the disease. I think that the most important thing for me to tell you is how overwhelmed I am, even as an instructor, in regards to caregiver challenges. And on Saturday, I came into the office to work a little bit on putting together these slides for this presentation. And I happened to get on a chat board that was going on with caregivers. On that one day, in 17 minutes, the message board for caregivers had these things pop up that said, 3 minutes ago, 2 minutes ago, 0 minutes ago. And the message board for caregivers included topics like, my siblings won't help. I can't take it anymore. My brother is being treated like a king. I don't want to hear you're praying for me. That one actually had very interesting answers. I don't want mom living with me anymore. And how do I help my mother and deal with my father's verbal abuse? These were just a few topics, and I went back on yesterday to look at it to see how much this had expanded, and I was just overwhelmed. So the need is there, and it's for basic knowledge, basic understanding, and more than anything, help for the caregiver and the challenges that they have. So many people will say to me, can you suggest some good reading material? And I can. This happens to be a wonderful book, The 36-Hour Day. If I were to tell you that I have a list of about 30 good books to read, and I'm willing to share them with you and tell you what they are, but I have a question back for people when they ask me this. And that question is, do you have time with all you're going through to read the book? And so I hope that what we can do is begin to put together a series for you all to understand what comes out of this reading material, what is out of research, and what other people are dealing with to help you in short periods of time to realistically deal with some of the behaviors and understand your own reactions. So what can I do for you? Well, I wish that I could do more, and I think that's what this slide is about. If you see the researcher, I wish that I could solve the problem of this disease. So does the Alzheimer's Association. So do all researchers that are involved in this study. We wish we had an answer so that none of us had to go through this, the resident or the family caregivers. I wish I had enough money to give to you to offer you the respite, the help with medication, all the care that's needed, and to take care of you. I wish there was a pill that I could give to make it all better. I wish I could give you time in your life. And I wish more than anything else, because I know that the other things are not possible, that I could come help you with the care. But it's not realistic. So the real question is, what can I do for you that I can realistically do and make happen? And that is, I hope that I can put a different frame today on some of the things that you are dealing with. It's really interesting, and I encourage you to think about this whenever something's going on in your life. But if you can reframe something, and they always use that topic, but I wonder, what does that mean? Until I really started thinking about when you put something in a picture frame, it takes on a different meaning. You can look at a beautiful picture that's framed in a bad frame, and it doesn't look near as neat. I have to tell you, when you see something that is not always the best, but a gorgeous frame, it can become amazing. So we're going to talk about reframing for a minute. And what are the topics we're going to talk about? Behaviors, caregiver feelings, communication, and also our expectations, not only of the residents or our family members, but of ourselves. Expectations, understanding the disease. What are you looking for? I think instead of talking about dementia for 1 minute, I want to talk to you about something I use a lot when I'm training with new employees that are coming in to work in a long-term care facility. Some of these folks have never, ever been involved with anybody who's had dementia. They might be working in the dining room. They might be a groundskeeper. They just don't understand this disease. So I try to put this into a perspective of what do they understand. Most of us have heard about epilepsy. Many of us have seen someone have a seizure. And as a nurse, if I saw someone have a seizure and I were to look at them as they were seizing on the floor and stop and say, "Stop that. You need to stop that." Or I would turn to someone else and say, "They didn't do that yesterday. I don't know why they're doing that now. He didn't do this morning. He only does this for attention. Quit biting your tongue." You would think I was a horrible nurse. That's because most of us understand that with epilepsy, this person has no control over what has happened to their brain. They have no control over the seizural activity of their body. And yet, when someone with dementia presents with behaviors, we want them to stop it. We don't understand it. Many early cases, we don't identify it. And these folks look exactly like we do, walking and talking normally 1 minute, and the next minute they can be having some type of gibberish talk. They can be talking to us and making no sense. They can be asking the same question they just asked 5 minutes before, but we would never say to somebody with epilepsy, "Stop that right now." However, with dementia, many times we don't have the same understanding that we do with the course of other diseases. So I want you to think about, when we reframe, if we could put this disease and have our expectations like we would for someone else who has a disease process that we understand better. One of the things I can tell you for sure is that today will not look like tomorrow. We anticipate, if yesterday was a good day and Dad could remember where his wallet was, if Dad could remember how to make toast yesterday, why can't Dad do it today? If Dad did it this morning, is he being obstinate because he won't do it this afternoon? Down in the bottom of the slide, it shows the clock. Not only will today not look like tomorrow, the next 10 minutes may not look like this 10 minutes. So these are issues I want you to remember, that with this disease, this is a constantly changing disease, a progressive disease that is ultimately one that we know ends in death. But while we get to this end-of-life situation, we have to go through so many behaviors that are hard for the family member that has the disease or the resident with it, just as hard as it is for you, the caregiver. Primarily today, I want you to know I'm focusing on you, the caregivers. So in order to make change, we have to recognize that we have to change our behaviors. They cannot change theirs. We have to change our behaviors and our responses because they can't. So if we're expecting them to respond to instructions from us, directions from us, we're thinking that if we do the right thing, they will change. That is not the case. We are the ones that have to change. We're going to spend a lot of time talking about that today. This was a wonderful comment or a quote that I saw online from Bob DeMarco, who holds the Alzheimer's Reading Room. And you can go online and find this yourself, or write me and I'll send you the link to this. But after repeatedly correcting my mother and telling her that she just ate, watching her get frustrated or angry, I finally realized something had to change. And this something was me. I had to